literally means to draw out. And our goal in inductive Bible study is to draw out the meaning of the original author to his original audience. In studying a letter, we understand that there's a purpose of the author in writing to his original audience, and it's our job as Bible study students to look for that and draw that out. Also, in a letter, which is different from other genres such as poetry or narrative, we note that it is set up in chapters, and in the chapters there are paragraphs, unit of thought, just like in the English language. And so what we do is we study the book as a whole. There are 3 component parts in the process of inductive Bible study: observation, interpretation, and application. In our guide, you will notice that we start with the book overview. The book overview is going to be the first lesson that we accomplish this year. In the book overview, we are really mainly looking at clues that we find about the author, clues that we find about the recipients, and clues about why the author is writing at this particular point in time. This will help us to understand the context of the rest of the book. Also, we have the chapter overview. The chapter overview will be the second lesson that we accomplish. In the chapter overview, the main lesson for you to accomplish in this is to get to know the chapter. Also, there are a few tasks that you are given to help you understand the basic flow of the chapter. We want to understand, what is the chapter about, and what does each paragraph say about that chapter? The author has a flow of thought, and we want to try to understand his flow of thought. Broken down even a little bit further, we have the paragraph study, number 3. And again, our goal in the paragraph study is observation, interpretation, and application. Observing the book means, what do we see? What do I see? It's important to have the text before you in order to notice things about repeated words. Notice things about God or Jesus. Notice things that are contrasted. There's a list of ideas for markups. Most people like to put little symbols over God, sometimes a triangle, a little cross over Jesus, the Holy Spirit, maybe like a dove or a flame of fire, something like that. Some people just underline it in a particular color. Repeated words, we had noted in the chapter overview to mark in green or with symbols of green. It's also important to know what the actions are, the verbs are, or if those are commands, or it's just something simply that the Christian is to do. Notice that you have lots of room to make notes, to annotate your text. Also, you have little places here to write down, what did you learn about God? What did you learn about Jesus or the Holy Spirit? Also, maybe what you learned about any repeated words or any actions that seem to be driving the paragraph itself. After that, there are 3 different translations. This has 2 different objectives. One is to read and notice, to compare any major differences. Now, this isn't about word order, okay? This is noting if the translators used a completely different word in the sentence. And if so, we highlight it. And we're going to have a demonstration of this later on, so don't worry about that. But also, when you're reading the NASB, ESV, and NIV, you will note that the NASB is the most literal translation from the Greek. ESV is moderately, but still pretty literal. And then the NIV is the most interpretive. And so it might be easier to understand the paragraph as you read all 3 translations. You might get a better feel of what is the meaning. And so there's 2 parts of that. Also, you will get to write down maybe how your understanding of the paragraph grew by reading all three translations, or noting down any different words that are used. If the words are different, you have a chance to think, well, why did the translators use a different word? And so you will be taught in another video how to define those words from a free Bible app that we have. Looking up the definition is not that hard, but there's a place for you to write the word, to write the Strong's number, which we'll explain in another video, and then write the definition down. If you don't want to do that, you can look up the definition in a dictionary, a Merriam-Webster dictionary. Also, in trying to draw out the meaning, we need to understand what's the main idea of the paragraph. Who did what and how? And that's a basic, simple truth that we need to be able to draw out of a paragraph. Who did what? And how did they do it? And why did they do it? And that's it. And that will basically be our summary. Also, why did the author write this paragraph in this particular place in the book? And how does it relate to the previous paragraph? Context drives meaning. And so if the paragraph is about false prophets, then we know that that paragraph has something to do with false prophets. It doesn't take on a different meaning than how it was written. And so as we read through, we will understand what the author was trying to communicate to his audience.